Thank you for Bud Light for sponsoring this episode. Oh, that's a good sound. Oh. And welcome back. All right, hello and welcome back to another, I guess this has become a podcast, I don't really know. I've just started to enjoy doing these sessions with like my friends, chatting to them about specific topics that we think about. And yeah, I think it's been really fun. Today we've got Cole with us. Cole is not a videographer or photographer like you've normally seen on the channel, but he is a fucking legend. So I'll give him that.
Thank you, my friend. You're a little too nice. But
Cole is also my roommate at the moment at college as well. So we've been sharing the same apartment for the last year and going to be doing it for another year at least before we then hopefully get a house.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, Cole's awesome. I have a lot of good memories of Cole already and many more to come. But without further ado, Cole, introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, like this man said, my name is Cole. I go to State. I study marketing. I was blessed enough to be able to meet these two. Well, Dan's not here, but Dan was the one that got me into meeting them.
You guys all know Dan already from other videos I've done.
Yeah, Dan is also a fucking legend. It was in class, dude, and like he saw me overlooking that I was... He overlooked my shoulder and saw that I was looking for a place, and next thing you know, I see the place the next day and I meet these two, and it's just match made in heaven, I say.
Honestly, yeah.
It's like, doesn't get better than the time that we've had, bro. Like,
and give a little introduction of like you specifically as well to people, like where are you from originally, where are you from here in California, everything like that. What was it, your childhood growing up a little bit, and then we'll get into like the main topic of what is today about.
Okay, well, I've been all over the place, dude. Like I've already told you, but like I grew up in the Philippines for 11 years. It was a long 11 years. And then when I turned 11, I moved over here to the States. I moved to LA, which the Valley. Well, no, I started off at Sherman Oaks, actually. I spent my middle school years in Sherman Oaks. Shout out Sherman Oaks. And then for high school, I moved to the Valley, Granada Hills High School. Shout out Granada Hills. And then I stayed there for 3 years. And then I moved up north to Santa Clarita. People would probably associate Six Flags with Santa Clarita. And then, you know, for college, San Diego State was the only college I applied for. The only college I applied for. And I got in, and now we're here.
But that's why we wanted to kind of do this podcast on this topic. That's something that we both have in common. You know, Cole just said he has spent 11 years in the Philippines before he moved over to the US. I was 18 before I moved out from the UK here to the US. So neither of us are native to the USA. And we wanted to kind of talk on that experience of like what it was like to really move here to the US, and well, more specifically California, I'd say. You know, we can't generalize the US. And what that like period of adaptation was like. I think it will be really interesting because I'm still relatively new in the process, only like 3 and a bit years in now. Cole being here for like 10 plus years, and you've not been back to the Philippines since you left, right?
I have not, but I am going back in December.
And that, and so we'll definitely have to chat about that as well, what kind of emotions that's going to bring. But yeah, it's like kind of a pretty cool experience. But Cole, give us like the top 3 things when you moved to the US that were like such a big culture shock for you. So how old were you? And then like, what were the things that were just like, whoa, like crazy?
So at 11, moving here, the first thing that I noticed was the weather. Because in the Philippines, dude, it was a different type of humidity. Like, it was almost like you don't get acne just because of how humid it was.
Yeah.
It was like a natural skincare routine. So when I first got out of the airport, I remember my initial thought was like, holy shit, there's AC.
Yeah.
There's AC everywhere. And I was like, I'm not used to this because we didn't really have electricity in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I'm joking. We had electricity. But like, dude, that was one of the biggest shocks for me. I was like, dude, the weather's super nice. Another thing was that people were a lot nicer than the people in the Philippines. Even though the culture in the Philippines is very embracing and it's very family oriented, I just like day-to-day interactions with people. Like I remember, dude, when I first heard have a good one, like, you know how people commonly say have a good one here? I was like, damn, dude, like appreciate it.
Yeah,
I was
wow.
like, it made me feel real nice. And I started saying it to everyone and anyone. I was like, have a good one. And I was like expecting a thank you. So like, you know, that was like a nice little adjustment for me because I felt very friendly and accustomed to the favors that people were giving out. I'd say the third thing, I'd say the food.
Oh yeah.
The food's big, dude. Like, I think, so in the Philippines, it's very home cooked meals. Here, it's like fast food,
True,
restaurant, and it's just eating all the time. So that was a big shock for me because for dinner, I'm used to, you know, gathering around the dinner table, getting a home cooked meal. But like here, I noticed people like just, you know, pizza, burgers, you know, which nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I did notice.
No, that's I definitely, the two of those compliments, like those just people being friendly. I think definitely, it's not to say that either of us, like the Philippines or the UK, is like not a nice place to be, and the people are not nice. Absolutely not. But it's like a different kind of. They're very much more open with their compliments. I think in the UK, for me, we're naturally just more like reserved people, and so we definitely give compliments. You know, we're definitely nice. But yeah, when I came out here and it was like, yeah, you just get kind of compliments left and right. And like, it's not uncommon for someone just to like go out of the way and be like, hey, I love your pants, or I love your shoes. And it's like, it's really odd because you're like, oh, like thanks. I guess. Yeah. But like I wasn't, and it sounds like you weren't like used to like having that kind of like interaction with just your average individual throughout the day.
100%.
And then food as well. I think it's really interesting for me as well because I was exactly the same in the UK, right? Like family meal time was huge. You know, you home cook a meal, you know, slow cook, roast in the UK, sausage and mash, right? Whatever
tea on the side.
Exactly. So like we have this, and they were really big to do like at home. But I feel like here in the US that they care less like in the house, they care less about having the food together, but when they go out, there's like food together. You know? Like if they do go out, if you all like your family goes to In-N-Out, or all of your friends go to In-N-Out, or you know, like when you go out for food, you all go together, or like to a diner or something like that. And that was like a really like like cultural shift. Spend a lot more money on food. I think.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing. I would say is like really big. Is to not necessarily cook in and kind of buy something out.
Which is weird because like you get the same type of warmth eating out as you would like back home eating out. It's like, I don't know if just because like we're used to it now, but it's like, it's almost like they harbor that same type of love outside of the house.
Yeah, that's true.
If that makes any sense.
Very true. But then what were some things that you like struggled with as you moved over and you, like, as a kid growing up, you're like way younger than me, so it was like really interesting to see what I didn't get the high school experience you did. Like, did you fit in? Is it a struggle? Like, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Middle school was a tough one for me, just because like I came from a school where everyone was super tight, and it's like going to a middle school that was the size, I shit you not, the size of this courtyard, this tennis court. There was just rooms divided, and like that was the size of the school. And the thing with that was that everyone that was in my class knew each other from elementary. So I was the odd one out. And to make things worse, I wasn't just an odd kid out. I was an odd kid out with a fat ass accent. And I was like struggling to make, like, it was kind of...
Was your English good when you came over?
It was.
Okay.
It was. I was able to speak everything and anything. But you would be able to tell I'm off the boat. Like, I'm fresh off the boat, dude. Like, so the thing with me was that...
I think people can still tell that I'm fresh off the boat.
But like, I mean... It got to a point where, like, if a teacher asked a question, I was kind of hesitant to raise my hand. Because I would just be like, so the topic for today, I don't really like...
that's true.
It just, no one would really bully, but, like, I could tell people were thinking, like, this kid's, like, kind of weird, or, like... Not in a racist sense, but, like, he's different. Which is completely fine.
Kids aren't racist, really.
They're just ignorant,
inquisitive about what's going on.
I agreed. So
I think even now, like at college, I think that's even a big thing for me. Is like I have an issue like putting my hand up and answering a question, but it is like, do I want to deal with the fact that everyone's going to be like, oh my God, there's a British person in the room. And then they're like, a lot of the time they'll ask, like they'll find you after class, like, oh, are you from Australia? Like, no, I'm from the UK. And then you go through that process, and it's
You
not
had
like,
that happen?
all the time, dude. Like at the start of every semester, that's like a new like thing. It's like a new consideration of how much do I want to speak in this class.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a negative thing. I think it'd be like, I'd be wrong to say it's a negative thing, because a lot of things come from it. You know, I get to develop lots of friendships I wouldn't otherwise have, and it makes you unique and someone that like can remember you by, and you're able to develop those relationships quicker with people, which is awesome. But it is definitely something that like is consciously there for you to like deal with and like think about when you're like going through those situations. So I can definitely relate on a more like mature level to that as well. You know, it's how you must have been feeling as a kid. But what about then going through high school? Like, what did you, after the accent, I guess, kind of wore off a little bit?
Dude, okay, so when I was in middle school still, I'm gonna get to high school, but like when I was still in middle school, I was rushing it. I was rushing to get rid of my accent. So I was rushing to get rid of it just because I wanted to like fit in. And as a kid, I feel like as an adolescent, you want nothing else but to fit in. So I was rushing my accent to get rid of, and it got to a point where it wasn't like a Californian accent that I was impersonating. I was impersonating a fucking British accent. Like I was like, yeah, school was great today.
Oh my God.
I was like, dude, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why am I trying to change? But high school was a lot easier for me. High school was a lot easier for me because those 4 years in middle school I was able to, you know, pick up on certain things and adapt to certain things.
It's like pretty much your transition period, I guess.
Yes, but again, it was a new fresh start for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go to a local high school around my area in middle school.
True.
I moved up north.
That's when you moved to Santa Clarita?
No, I started off in Sherman Oaks, moved a little north to the valley, and then moved up way more north to Santa Clarita.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've never really had, besides my 11 years in the Philippines, I've never had like a common ground that I've always been accustomed to. I've always been moving around. So
yeah, true.
In high school, it was a little difficult at first to make new friends, but it was a lot easier just because of the fact it was so big and there were more people coming in from different areas. Like not everyone knew each other anymore.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where it was like, you know, I could tell people were looking for friends, and like it was easy to acclimate because I was in classes with people, and like, it was just a whole different vibe. Because another thing to consider is like in middle school, you were in the same class, moving to different classrooms with the same group.
Yeah, true.
So it was like, you know, very different, I would say.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's something I definitely missed out on with that high school experience. I don't know. My sister is obviously going through it right now, and she's thriving. She's absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
And super proud of her and everything she's been able to achieve throughout high school and everything like that.
Shout out Lily.
But I think going. I've been filming a lot of like high school football games at the moment. You know this.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I think seeing that and like seeing when the team scores and you've got like a whole stand full of parents and kids and stuff. I think that is such a cool thing to me. I think that is like just honestly the most epic thing. I think the closest thing we have to that in the UK is like Sports Day, and it's like
Sports Day,
especially just track. And everybody comes, like parents and kids and stuff come and watch, and you like all
only track.
Yeah, like you compete in a bunch of different events, but it's like only track and field events.
Like relaying and stuff like
relay, all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes if you're like younger, like middle school and stuff, they'll throw in like cool events like egg and spoon race and things like that. But when you get to like high school level, it's like, like 100 meter, 400, 1500, all of that.
It gets a little more competitive.
Yeah, and that was fun, and I absolutely loved that. And so, yeah, I think it is so cool. So I do miss out on that a little bit. But it's a really interesting one, that like whole American high school experience. All the Americans like, it's not it. No, all of us otherwise outside of it is super fun.
It's huge because like there's a reason why people say a lot of people peak in high school.
Yeah.
Because it's like a great time and people kind of focus in on those 4 years a little too much.
Yeah.
So,
fair. Have a little sip of this. Halftime break. Nil fucking nil.
Nil fucking nil.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, so how has like living somewhere else for like such a long period of your life and then coming to America, how that must have given you like a different perspective on a lot of things here, and like how has it affected like your perspective, I guess, on like life and like
Okay.
what you want out of it here in America.
So obviously the Philippines isn't as, I mean, they're not as wealthy or well off as America, right? So you kind of had to really appreciate the little things and take everything with a grain of salt and just like see everything as a glass half full instead of half empty. So moving here, when I have a ton of more opportunities and a little bit more blessed in the sense of, you know, my environment, I tend to still look at the little things more than the big picture things, which I think is great because like I get to appreciate things in a different light than other people wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, I always like seeing the positive in things and making the most out of situations where someone may see it as a negative. And I carry that with me throughout my 21 years of life. And I can tell you, like, it's just easier for me to be happy and to be content. Cause like, I don't have to have the big thing. I don't have to have the next huge, or whatever it is. Like,
yeah. Honestly, I actually, that is so profound. I've noticed it about you, but now you saying that, like, I'm like, holy shit, that like makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
yeah, dude. Like, even when I have been, I guess, like, down myself or like not as motivated or whatever, I think there's definitely always been that you've come in and been like, hey, bro, like, think of this or think of this. And it's like, you're very much coming in with that, like, the glass is half full kind of mentality.
And it sounds super cliche.
But it's also like so true and just like factual.
Yeah. And life's just so much better when you're not, you know, too obsessed over what's gonna happen next. Like, I kind of take things one step at a time.
Yeah.
And there's a negative to that because, like, obviously at times I should be planning a little forward and like thinking of things big picture. But like, I don't know. I just like to enjoy life in little bite sizes. And, you know, in that sense, I'm able to be more positive about certain things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely true about, I've noticed that without a doubt.
How about you? How does moving from the UK affect how you see life?
Well, I'd say the UK, it's not obviously the same with the Philippines. I think we're probably a little bit more affluent in a lot of ways in the UK.
A lot more affluent.
Yeah, but I think one thing that was very different is that in the UK we're not as open about, like, you know, money we have or you know, in that sense, than like Americans. And so that has been like a big kind of like change in mindset to me. But I think something I've always wanted since I was very young is it's just to achieve something like big for me. And I don't necessarily care what anybody else thinks about it or what, but just something that I know I'm proud of and I've done. I've already done that a lot in my life, so I'm very grateful for that. But I think another part of it is wanting to like do my dad proud. He never puts any pressure on me to like succeed. He wants the absolute best for me. But I think for everything that he's done throughout like my childhood and growing up and helping me obviously get out here to America as well, I think that is a big driver in my life as well, of just wanting to kind of make him proud of all he invested into me to become the man that I'm gonna, or I am me, or I am becoming. So I think that for me is like a big driver. But apart from that, it's just personal goals. I think of just setting targets and goals. You've heard me talk about them before, and just like trying to hit them. And I tend to try and like, I think part of the move for me when I came from the UK to the US, there was a big mindset change. I think I was getting quite content in what my life could look like in the UK. And when I came out to the US, it was like very uncomfortable. That whole transition period is like really weird. It's weird. Like isolating. And so I got like some time to like really actually reflect on exactly who I am and want to be. And in that time was when I found video. And so I think that whole period really set me off to like really try and achieve something more with my life and what I wanted to do. And I think that was the moment when I went like, fuck it, like I need to do something big, you know? I think before that I was like, oh, I can have a happy life, but now I was like, no, I want to like impact a lot of lives.
Yes.
So I think that's where that initial spark came from. But now it's all about kind of just like setting big goals and trying to achieve them each time.
I'm not even gonna lie to you, dude. Like, genuinely, I'm not bullshitting when I say this. You have probably the best work ethic I've seen out of pretty much anyone I've met. At least our age.
that.
Like, it's insane, dude. Like, when you have something set, you just do whatever the fuck it takes to take it. And I respect that beyond belief.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, man. It's insane. And, you know, like, being around you and Dan, like, both pretty driven.
Shout out Dan.
Shout out Dan. Shout out Dan, dude. But being in that same household has allowed me also to, like, hone my skills and just focus on certain things. Like, it's a great environment to be around when you guys are all driven. So I feel like we have a positive relationship with, you know, balancing our negatives and positives and pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, to like the present day of like how, like you said, how we all meshed so nicely when we met. I think that has a big part to do with it. I think, Dan is very driven. He inspires me to like work hard and get after it for sure. So I think that is sick. But then also, like seeing you progress in all the areas that there's flies everywhere, bro.
I know.
In the ways that you've wanted to has been like so sick to see as well. Like just even in the gym as one example, right? It's been absolutely crazy, your transformation.
I am proud of that.
Yeah.
And like you guys were the one that put me on the gym too though. Like like it's just all like when you think about the progress we've made, we can pretty much attribute it to each of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty sick to see.
And I think it's so sick, like I think one thing genuinely that college has given me above all else
is,
and I don't necessarily know if I would have maybe would have, but it maybe would have taken a bit longer. But I think what college has given me is like a group of people, or started to develop a group of people that I like genuinely can see myself succeeding with. Like I think before it was like there's lots of people succeeding around me, but I don't necessarily like really connect with them. But having met like Zach, Jared, Dan, Austin, Abby, you, like all of these people that like have very similar interests and all of that, I think that has become like just like such a big group that I think that we could like succeed with in that
like-minded
sense.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
How about your talk about the competitiveness that you get from, because you grew up playing sports, right?
Yeah.
And you know you've always been an athletic guy.
Yeah, let's talk about sports.
So like how did it affect your life, and not just how you see it, because obviously you can say like, oh, I'm super competitive, I like taking what's mine, but like the little things, like how does it affect you mentally? How does it affect your daily routine and stuff like that? Very, very good question.
Sports and athletics wise, I think that's a good question actually. I don't know. I like I said, I'm a very competitive person, and I like not in an aggressive sense. I think for me, like competition is split into like two things. You have like aggressive competition, and then you have more like kind of passive like competition, right?
Sure.
And I think I fall more into the passive area, whereas I will compete with other people and I want to get to a place quicker than someone or whatever, but I would never do it in expense of the other person, nor would I do it with like, you know, sabotaging their journey or whatever it may be. If there's an opportunity where I can like succeed with someone as opposed to just by myself, I'll always pick that over just succeeding by myself. You know, I think honestly that has been like the biggest thing for me that's been able to been allowed me to like develop a lot of relationships with not only people but with like brands as well. I think if you can create an environment where yes, you're competitive and you can show them that like they're getting the best because you are competitive and you know are trying to give the best all the time. That's, they love that. And then the second part of it is like then they can also feel welcomed into that like kind of competitiveness and be like, oh yeah, we're like buying into a product that they can give us, which is going to benefit us because, you know, it's competitive with the rest of the market right now, you know? So I think that's how it's affected me. And I think in a day-to-day, it just keeps you more motivated. 100%. I think if you're surrounded by people that you're being competitive with in a passive sense, you know, I wake up and if I sleep in a little bit, then I wake up and I see someone's story or someone's post of another video editor that just edited a sick video, and I go and like it and comment it because I think it's sick. But I'm like, fuck, man, I need to get up and I need to go and edit one of my own because I can't have him, you know, out there putting out better stuff than me. You know,
it's like iron sharpens iron.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But what about you? So you played. Oh, actually, I didn't say that. So I played back in the UK, I did track and field a bunch. I was 100 meter and 200, and then I switched to 200 and 400 meters.
Okay.
They were my events. And then I also played a little bit of football or soccer, depending on what you're watching or who's watching.
Yeah.
And then I also played a little bit of field hockey, which Americans probably won't know what it is. But obviously in the UK, you guys do. I was pretty good at field hockey. I played that for a good long time since I was a little kid. But they were like my main sports. But Cole,
with skates or just barefoot, or like not barefoot?
no,
but with
this
shoes?
is like shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Cole, what sports did you play, and how has competition affected your life?
So in the Philippines, I was big on basketball, but I was also huge. Like I was bigger on soccer. I don't know if I've told you this.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Okay, so I was bigger on soccer to the point where like we would play on like dirt grounds with a water bottle, and we would kick the water bottle around.
That's crazy.
And it was fun. But then when I moved to the States, I started honing my basketball skills a lot more. And I played basketball throughout high school. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about other people and how a team is supposed to interact and benefit each other. But in terms of how it affects me, I think, because I was thinking about it as you were talking, and I think when I try to root it to its core, it's the knowledge of how much we've practiced and honed our skills. That type of mentality of trying to get better every day for the sport that you love applies to life.
Yeah.
With the dedication and you have for what you want for your future, that practice mentality and grinding it out, it just applies so effortlessly and so seamlessly into your daily life. Because you know what it takes to get better.
Yeah.
And with being competitive as well, you just want to keep getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and I think, like you said, that repetition piece is like a huge part of it. Like, I think particularly with basketball, I think with hockey, like team sports, I mean, obviously basketball is, but there's also a lot of individual like brilliance that you got to bring to basketball. Like practicing shots over and over and over and over again. That's a grind, dude. Like,
dude.
You know, like it's a lot of work, and people are like, why would you repeat it so many times? And it's not just for the muscle memory, it's not just for this, but it's also, like you said, it's like that mental piece of like knowing exactly what it takes to like do a good shot or to like win a game, you know? And it's like, I think there's so much to be said for just like doing things repeatedly. I think honestly, that's like been the number one thing for video for me.
Repetition.
Just doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And like particularly now, like that's been the biggest change for me over the past like month or so, is like being able to work full time on video outside of school now. It means that every single day I'm editing something, I'm shooting something, or whatever it may be, and doing that every single day means that I can like grow exponentially with like the skill set, all of that stuff, and then like the income follows, you know?
Yeah. And in respect, like I've only known you for a year, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And I saw your content when I first met you, and I'm seeing what you're producing right now. Dude, it's not night and day because it wasn't shit to begin with, but like I could definitely see how you shifted your changes and like how you apply different things differently. So it's like super sick to see, dude.
Definitely.
But yeah.
What were some things when you came over? What were some words or phrases that Americans said that you were like, dude, what the fuck?
Oh, that's a good one, dude.
You said about like, oh, have a good day. It wasn't like crazy, but it was like, dude, this is kind of wild to me. But what were some other ones?
Fuck, that's a good question.
There's a lot of Bay Area ones that I came across that I was like never, like Bay Area slang is like completely different, dude.
Like what?
Like hella was one I'd never heard before. I was like, sorry, what did you just say?
Yeah.
They said hella. I was like, what does that mean? And they were like, just like a lot, I guess.
Nah, dude, like for real and on God. I'm religious. I would consider myself religious. I'm a Catholic, okay? So when they were saying on God, I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? They were just talking about, I like them Doritos on God. What the fuck kind of shit is that? Putting God and Doritos in the same sentence, bro? What the fuck? But like, and
for real?
For real. I'm like, I remember the first time I heard for real, I was just talking about how it's hard. It was a basketball thing. Okay. I was like, you know, like, I'm just practicing every day. This is getting really tiring. And my coach goes, yeah, for real. Whoa.
What are you?
For real. I like that. I'm putting that in my back pocket. But it was just like, You know, there's so many more like
Oh, dead ass.
oh, dead ass.
Dead ass was one for me.
Dead ass was
I
big.
was like, dude, how do I use that in a sentence?
But put all three together. Dead ass for real on God. What the fuck? Where am I, dog? Like, I want to go back home.
Oh my god.
But yeah, dead ass for real on God. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell is going on, man? Legit, dude.
Oh god. Oh god, I can't wait to watch this set. Holy shit. Let me film that.
Oh, man.
All right, that officially does actually bring the episode to an end. So I love you all. Have a lovely rest of your evening or whatever you're doing today. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one at some point.
Hey, yeah.